favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is open.
Aye.
Good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. It is Wednesday, September 28, 2022. Before we get started, I'd like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with 2 members being remote, every vote will have to be a roll call.
Okay. Did you guys hear that? So when we do our voting, we're going to do it in a roll call manner, since we have 2 members that are remote.
Understood.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and this meeting's being audio and video recorded. All right, so tonight we're going to be voting on the articles. There's 13 articles. Some involve spending, and some are zoning articles. So we're gonna take up each article individually, go through it. If we need any explanation or discussion, Mr. Kelly's here as a resource to go over any questions that any of us have relative to any of the articles. Before we get into that, I drafted a letter today for the warrant from the Finance Committee. I'm going to read it since Sue and Eric are not here in person and I could not give them a copy, so I'll read it. And we'll just, if you have any comments about it or you want to make any changes, we'll have to make a recommendation tonight because this thing has to go to print tomorrow. So, dear residents of Acushnet, the role of the Finance Committee in municipal government is an important one and vital to a town with regards to prudent fiscal management. The Finance Committee is essentially a fiscal watchdog for a municipality and works collaboratively with the Board of Selectmen and Finance Department to ensure fiscal responsibility. The primary role for a Finance Committee is to analyze departmental budgets and make recommendations at town meeting and present a balanced budget. However, it is the residents who have the final say at town meeting. The Finance Committee is not involved in setting the property tax rate, employee contract negotiations, or hiring employees. Our Finance Committee members have a diverse level of business experience for both the private and public sectors who volunteer their time without compensation or benefits. We care about our town, and that is the main reason we serve. The purpose of this year's special town meeting is to address any unresolved departmental spending articles, community preservation budget, and various zoning articles which may impact the town presently and in the future. Since the annual town meeting this past May, our current finance department has done a stellar job identifying some past bookkeeping omissions/errors and made the necessary corrections. Unfortunately, the company which does our auditing did not identify these issues and notify our finance departments, past or present. Rest assured, the finance department, in collaboration with our town administrator and the Board of Selectmen, will be implementing measures to ensure proper fiscal record keeping going forward. Looking ahead to our next annual town meeting in 2023, our departments will need to continue to take a conservative approach with their budgets, with the exception of contractual obligations and fixed costs. We also need to be able to adequately fund our various stabilization accounts in case of any unforeseen circumstances that could negatively affect us financially. Our main stabilization account is essentially an emergency savings account. These aforementioned components are vitally important in maintaining a town's fiscal health, especially a small town like ours that has limited resources and, like many others, has its challenges with regards to providing a balanced budget for the town while maintaining a quality level of service for our residents. Every year we face increases in fixed costs, some of which will be affected by the current substantial increase in inflation that is still affecting all of us. The current level of uncertainty and instability in our national economy places an even greater emphasis on prudent fiscal management for us at the local level. The ultimate goal for everyone involved in our town government is to provide quality level of services and to keep our property taxes within the constraints of Proposition 2.5 without the need for any tax overrides to maintain our operational budget. To achieve this, all departments need to continue to work collaboratively with our Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, and Finance Committee to maintain fiscally responsible budgets. I would like to thank all of the Finance Committee members who have participated in the annual and special town meeting budgetary process, as well as our finance department and town administrator, along with our board of selectmen, who put in a lot of extra time to keep our town moving forward and in the right direction. Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion, you accept?
We have a motion and a second to accept the letter that's gonna go in the warrant. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Roll call, please.
Oh, roll call, that's right. Let's start with Sue.
Aye.
Eric Chu.
Aye.
Eric McGlynn.
Aye.
Bob Ferrara.
Aye.
Okay, I'm an aye. Okay, so now we can get into, we all have, we have an updated draft here. So any changes that you're not aware of, Mr. Kelly will make aware of that during the meeting.
And I think my office did email it to you, did we?
I don't think so.
Probably 3:30.
Oh, then I probably did.
Okay.
That one.
Okay, folks, we're gonna start with Article 1. This is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,077.62 to pay for the following unpaid bills from the prior fiscal year, or take any other action in relation thereto. This is basically a housekeeping issue. We have something like this every year. Mr. Kelly, do you want to add anything?
It's
to this?
pretty much, when we did the review, we discovered some unpaid bills. It's essential that we keep all of the vendors happy, pay our bills. We've received the services, so this is, as you said, an annual housekeeping type of bill.
Yeah, and at the bottom of each article, Mr. Kelly put together a nice explanation in essentially layman's terms for our benefit and for all the residents in the town benefit during town meeting, explaining and simplifying the article.
No discussion, I'll make a motion, you accept.
Is there any discussion on this article? If there's no discussion, we have a motion from Eric McGlynn
To recommend.
to recommend this article.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh, that's right, we're doing roll call. Sue Delgado? Oh, we lost you. We lost the audio.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, we got you. All right, Sue's has lost her voice. She has a bad case of laryngitis right now, so
Thanks, Denise.
this is
Roll
making
call.
it tough for her. Tough to do roll call. Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So this motion passes unanimously. Article 2 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $44,472.57 to transfer from the school roof premium the sum of $15,643.43 for a total of $60,116 to amend the appropriations stated below that were previously voted in Article 17 of the May 9th, 2022 annual town meeting for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 for various town departments, and to reduce estimated water revenue the sum of $70,000 and estimated sewer revenue the sum of $90,000, or take any other action in relation thereto. As you'll see at the bottom, the explanation for this article is to correct any revenue, expense, and assessment budgets, as well as to correspond and reconcile those budgets to the general fund balances. In examining some past financial records, the town administrator and the finance department and the treasurer collector's office encountered some accounting errors and omissions. After discussion with and advice from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, the town needed to rectify these. Additionally, the FY23 budget contains items that require some adjustments. Mr. Kelly, do you want to go through each of these?
I'll go through quickly. The salary adjustment in the selectmen account is because when they negotiated my contract, it was after town meeting, and we needed to add $2,500 to that. The recruitment adjustments in finance and treasurer collector accounts are because we ended up with inadequate pool of responses when we went out to advertise for both of those positions, and the Board of Selectmen is looking to increase the salary by $5,000 in each case. The fire department expenses are for 10 sets of turnout gear. We're not going to the ambulance fund because we're still waiting to hear on the grant that for the breathing apparatus, and I don't want to deplete that fund until we hear about the grant, and so it makes sense to do it here. The Acushnet Public Schools, we are funding part of this article from a double accounting in the school budget for $136,788. The school choice is in most towns paid for out of local aid directly by an assessment by the state. That was happening for Acushnet, but at the same time, there was a line item in the school budget for the same amount. So in effect, there was a double billing. And so we are using this to restore the collaborative tuition that the school took out of the budget during the budget deliberations in the spring. We are also using it to fund the short-term interest for the school roof project that the school did not include in the debt budget in the spring. And we are looking for $25,000 more in the DPW gas and diesel budget for a safety net because of the fluctuations of prices right now. We're also reducing the veterans' expenses by $30,000 because of a reduced caseload. And that will come out to $60,116 that we're looking to raise and appropriate $44,472.57, and to transfer from the school roof premium $15,643.43. We are also looking to reduce our estimated expenses in sewer by $90,000 and reduce our estimated consumption by $70,000 in sewer and water. When we looked at it with Department of Revenue and we were going over all the accounts, we realized that there was a spike during the COVID years, and we were using a 5-year average, but we were not accounting for that spike. And the Department of Revenue strongly advised us to make these reductions.
Right, that skewed the typical numbers.
Correct.
That we would usually see. Any discussion on this article or questions?
I just one point of clarification on the school budget, the school choice. It was double budgeted, not double billed, right? It was budgeted in two spots, but not paid twice.
Correct. It was,
Yeah.
well, it was taken out of our local aid directly by the state, and it was put into the school budget for this year. But we discovered it before there could be appropriation or expenditures out of that budget in the school budget, that line in the school budget. And that's,
So not,
and that's why we're able to use it for these other things.
but for the current year, it was caught, but then in prior years, I'm sorry, I thought in prior years, it was double budgeted, but not paid twice.
And
That may not be the case then in prior years.
it may not be the case in the prior years, and we're
Okay.
looking into it, and in effect, it could be that they're over a 10-year period, because we've only gone back 10 years, there was approximately $1 million included in the tax rate that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, so this was one of the big things that our current finance department was able to identify, thankfully.
Going forward, it will not, the same mistake will not be made.
Correct. Any additional discussion or questions from anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept,
To recommend.
to recommend Article 2. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend Article 2. We'll go through roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrera,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so this motion, Article 2 passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, in Article 3, there was a slight change of the wording, not the intent, recommended by town council.
Okay,
This is the wording that was recommended by council.
okay, I'll go ahead and read the article. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to rescind the borrowing authority for the following purposes. Sewer loan program, Article 10 of the April 24, 2006 annual town meeting, in the amount of $7,422.49. New police station, Article 3 of the October 22nd, 2012 special town meeting, in the amount of $238,814. So the explanation, as we can all see, this article was presented on advice by the town's bond council, as Mr. Kelly just said, to rescind the authorization to borrow for projects already completed. The borrowing limits involved have not been used and are not needed. This action will clear the amounts involved from the town's total borrowing limit.
So just for clarification, these numbers are what was left over that could be
Could be
potentially borrowed,
could
but
have
we don't
been-
need it.
Could have been borrowed, but wasn't.
Okay, so this is just clearing up paperwork, there's no
Yes.
actual money here.
No, but the issue is, it would affect your bond rate when you go out
Because
to
it
borrow.
shows as a debt.
Yes.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to leave it on the books the way it was.
I'll make a motion, we
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend Article 3. We'll go through the roll call vote. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrera,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay, on to Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the sewer betterment fund the sum of $303,687,000 to amend the previous appropriations voted in Article 19 of the May 9th, 2022 annual town meeting for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, to the sewer enterprise debt service or to take any other action thereto.
Mr. Chairman, when we established the sewer budget in the spring, there was wording that the DOR wanted to see for the specific, this specific wording, and it wasn't in the original article in the spring. They asked that we include it now to make sure that it's recorded that the sewer enterprise debt service is paid for with a transfer from the sewer betterment fund, which was the intent for the sewer betterment fund.
So this is just changing the verbiage.
This is adding some verbiage they wanted.
So it's basically just, it's cleaning up
It's housekeeping.
Right.
the previous article.
I'll make a motion if there's no discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this article from anybody? Okay, seeing there's no further discussion, we'll go through a roll call to recommend Article number 4. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So this motion, Article 4 passes unanimously. On to Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the sewer enterprise fund the sum of $60,500 to complete Phase 4 of the sewer infiltration and inflow investigation program or to take any other action thereto. This article will continue to fund the town's program for leak detection in the sewer system, as well as ensuring no cross-contamination with the stormwater system.
Is that an ongoing thing?
This is a multi-year issue, and we were waiting for the sewer rates to be set to present this article. It's the I&I program,
Right.
and it's, as you can see, multi-phases, and it goes through the whole sewer system to ensure that there are no leaks, no cross-contamination that would violate MS4. So there's a number of issues that this helps us make sure that there are no future problems that would cost a lot more money to fix.
When do the sewer rates get finalized?
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
the selectmen voted. We were waiting for New Bedford.
Any further discussion or questions regarding Article 5? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
made by Eric McGlynn, a second by Bob Ferrara to recommend Article 5. We'll go through roll call voting. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So this Article 5 passes unanimously. Okay, Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the golf course retained earnings $300,000 for the purpose of various capital repair and replacement projects, including but not limited to irrigation system repairs and replacements, cart path repairs, replacement of equipment, and expenditures approved by Golf Management Committee and the Board of Selectmen, or take any other action thereon or in relation thereto. I did see the explanation from the Golf Committee at one of the Select Board's meeting with regards to this. And part of this $300,000 is part of a, there was a previous $150,000 article that was not moved at our previous annual town meeting. So that is incorporated into this article. And under the explanation, they're gonna continue to use this to make capital repairs and just keep the course up to par, no pun intended. And just make sure that it's, we have continue to have a great golf course going forward. We've got to maintain it. I mean, we had a major drought this summer, and that's what necessitated some of these costs as well.
The reserve for the golf course is, after these expenditures, would still be over $1 million.
Yeah, we've had a couple of good years out there. Even with the pandemic and all that, people have been out there playing.
I think more people played during
Yeah,
the pandemic.
well, they're all out of work.
Mhm.
And
Well, it's one thing you can do outside.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's there are a number of other similar courses that are closing, and the clientele is looking for places to play, and they're coming to the Acushnet River course
And the bond on this, the bond on the golf course is approximately, what, 5 years?
for 5 more years.
So it's about 5 more years, and then we have no more bond relative to the golf course.
So the debt payment will be gone.
Right. And I know going forward, they want to anticipate like a 10-year kind of outlook, right? To see to envision what the golf course is going to become
Yeah.
going forward, especially once it's paid off. Because I think it should definitely be a town asset going forward, provided it's financially solvent, and if it remains solvent. If it doesn't, then those circumstances could change.
The Golf Advisory Committee is going, and the superintendent and the director manager are going through a exercise where they're looking at the various options for management and development over the next 10 years. And so that will be moving forward at the same time as the bonds are being retired.
Any further discussion or questions relative to Article number 6? Do we have a motion to recommend Article 6?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend Article 6. We'll go through roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrera,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So Article 6 passes unanimously. Okay, moving along, Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the unused balances of the capital projects identified below the sum of $80,000 for the capital projects stated below, and anything incidental or related thereto, including but not limited to the purpose and installation of equipment and supplies, or take any other action in relation thereto. Mr. Kelly, I'll let you give an explanation on this one.
We were very lucky in that our finance and IT offices, which are combined in one individual, received a state fiber optics grant for $250,000. The grant is for the stringing of the cable and those associated costs. However, the town is responsible for the equipment inside the building that you attach the cable to. Now, this will make connectivity among all of the town major buildings, including the superintendent's office and the 2 schools. It will also enable us to we're looking at the fire panel, security system, and cameras upgrades in Town Hall and Parting Ways, and to begin the townwide phone system replacement. But first we have to string the wire, which isn't wire.
No.
And I think it's a great project, and we're able to use all these articles that had money remaining in it to fund our portion of it.
Mhm. I'm just gonna,
So there's no cost to the, new costs to the taxpayer.
right, I'm gonna go through each one, just so they know the funding source.
Okay.
So the $80,000 is number one coming from the Selectmen Department, and this is from the, if you guys remember, the Comprehensive Waste Management Plan that was approved at the special town meeting in November of 2016. So there was, in that unused account was $52,875.23. The next department is the Assessor's Department, and it was for an industrial appraisal from the annual town meeting of May 21 in the amount of $4,948. The next line item was from Conservation, the GIS plotter project or purpose from annual town meeting, May 2019, in the amount of $2,000. Animal Control Department, there was a new vehicle that was purchased from the annual town meeting, November 2020, and there was $10,878.77 left over. In the Planning Department, there was a zoning bylaw project or purpose from the special town meeting. And this goes back to October 2004. There was $4,315.76 in that account. Police Department, radio replacement, and from the annual town meeting of May 21 in the amount of $4,400. And lastly, our Town Clerk Department, CD-ROMs, which we no longer use. So that was from the special town meeting of October 2003 in the amount of $582.24. So that, all those numbers I just went through add up to $80,000, and that's gonna be used for the technology department to make these capital improvements for our fiber optic capabilities and connect all the buildings. Any discussion or questions on this?
I'm just kind of amazed that we have money from 2003.
Oh, we have other articles that we're holding on to right now that, just to ensure that there are no future expenditures, and we'll be coming forward doing the same type of thing. If you had a project like this, that there was a town match, we'll use those articles so there's no additional cost to the taxpayers.
So this has just been rolling in the books for the last 20 years or so?
I think, yeah, I think we maybe cleaned up one or two that was more than 20 years, but it's around 20 years. It's just been hanging out there that you've actually appropriated it.
And it's been sitting, is the money,
No interest.
well, that was gonna be my next question. I mean, are we getting interest on this money, or no?
And we might as well clean up the books, because
Well, yeah, I thought it went
It
to general
shows.
treasury at the end if it wasn't used.
it shows,
Yeah.
and that shows that, financially, you're not keeping a close eye on all your expenditures if someone comes in to audit you.
So my question relative to this is, going forward, will we continue to have this practice going on, where we're going way back to all these years and using unused
The
funds?
finance department and the town administrator's office will be proposing going forward the ones that we should clean up. We've got a list.
I would say, yeah, I would like to know what that number would be.
Well, there are some that it makes sense to keep open. For example, the one for the repairs of the Parting Way building.
Well, because we're gonna
In
keep
case,
going.
in case you need it.
And you still have lead issues there and stuff like
Sure,
that.
sure.
So that one, it makes sense that you just keep it open, and as you do your projects, you take it out of that. There are some that should be closed out. I think we've probably done 3/4 of the ones that should be closed out over the last couple of years of the town meetings.
Do you think any of them go back beyond 2003?
I can't say off the top of my head, but probably if it is, it's a year or two. I think we've cleaned up most of the others. It's just good fiscal policy.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll make a motion. You accept?
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend Article 7. We'll go through roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric Chu,
Aye.
Eric McGlenn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrera,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So this, Article 7 passes unanimously. Okay, Article 8, to see if the town will vote to act on the fiscal year 2023 community preservation project and to appropriate or reserve from fiscal year 2023 community preservation fund estimated annual values and reserves in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2023 as follows. So I'm going to read through each one here. So the amended budget as recommended by the Board of Selectmen, under appropriations from FY 2023 estimated revenues for committee administrative expenses is in the amount of $12,000. Reserves from FY 2023 estimated revenues for historic resources reserve, $26,900. From FY 2023 estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $25,000. From FY 23 estimated revenues for open space reserve, $30,000. From FY 23 estimated revenues for unrestricted reserves, $154,570, for a total of $248,470, or take any other action in relation thereto. The original budget proposed by Community Preservation Committee under appropriations from FY 23, the estimated revenues for committee administrative expenses was $12,000. And under reserves from FY 23, estimated revenues for historic resources reserve, $26,900. From FY 23, estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $25,000. From FY 23, estimated revenues for open space reserve, $30,000. And from FY 23, estimated revenues for unrestricted reserves, the amount was $239,570, for a total of $333,470 proposed by the Community Preservation Committee. So, Mr. Kelly, do you want to
Okay.
expand on this at all?
Sure, I requested 12,000 for administrative costs. I also requested 25,000 from community housing reserve and 25,000 from the open space reserve. The reason for this is
That's a 10% allocation for each one, correct?
20% for the categories other than the administrative and 10% for the administrative.
Okay.
The reason for this is your master plan is severely out of date. You are supposed to have a CPC plan that is every year, a 5-year CPC plan that is every year updated. There is no CPC plan on record. You're supposed to have an open space plan that is 20 years out of date. You've got a community housing plan that is about to go out of date. All of these subsidiary plans are part of your master plan. I have received $50,000 in various earmarks from the state, and I'm looking for this $62,000 to combine with 40 hours of consultant work from Sept to update the master plan and at the same time draft all or update all of these subsidiary plans. It's an effort that will include a lot of community outreach, surveys, etc., and to do it right. And it should be done because there are a number of governmental grants that you're not allowed to apply for unless you have all these plans in place. Beyond that, I requested $4,570 out of the open space reserve. When we were doing our investigations, we found out that there was a $25,000 appropriation for the irrigation system at the soccer fields. However, the administration, town administration, spent $29,570 on it. So we need to clean up the books, and one of the ways we do it is to actually appropriate the overrun of $4,570. Parks and Recreation are looking for $30,000 to upgrade Pope Park. That includes the basketball courts to the surface as well as the hardware. It also includes buying trash cans or receptacles that can be locked and at the same time are able to be dumped. We contacted DPW to see if we could do it through them, but the minimum order they can do is 200, and we don't need that. Acushnet schools are looking for $125,000 to resurface basketball courts, redo the outside tennis courts, basketball courts, and remove the existing bleachers in the inside and purchase other bleachers. The original bleachers were donated from the sheriff's office. Right now they have pieces of metal that are falling apart and are causing injuries. The surface of the court, at least one court that we were on, is so slick it's like ice. And this is why you have community preservation funds, to make these type of repairs. There was a request from Buzzard Bay for a land purchase for preservation for $85,000. That was not recommended by the selectmen, but it was recommended by the CPC. The Historic Commission looked for $3,800 to repair the patio roof at the Long Plain Museum. Looked at $23,100 to continue with the window repair at the Long Plain Museum. That was recommended by both the CPC and the board. The CPC tabled and would not recommend Long Plain Museum fence repair and installation because they were relying on the DPW to do the work, and the DPW cannot do the work. We're so short-staffed.
The unrestricted estimate for unrestricted reserves for 239,570, and now that was on the original, and now the amended one is 154. That's because that land.
It was taken out.
Okay.
And also there was a request for $14,192 from the Historic Commission for the Perry Hill Church floor repair, and the CPC tabled that. So the original request all totaled $357,382. The CPC recommended $333,470, and the Board of Selectmen recommended $248,470. Now, further on in the explanation, you'll see that the current balances of the CPC funds are: in the open space reserve, $58,083; in the historic preservation reserve, $66,918; and in the community housing reserve, $65,513; and in the undesignated fund balance, $569,670. The total, $760,184.
Thank you for that update, Mr. Kelly, and explanation. I'd also like to note or add that, CPC funds, for the folks out there that may be watching our meeting, are basically an annual surcharge on our property taxes. Now, this can be up to 3%, but our town is at a 1.5% rate. And as of fiscal year 2022, we get reimbursed by the state at a rate of 43%. So it's basically, we get reimbursed 43 cents on the dot for every dollar we spend with CPC funding. Some towns don't even have a CPC act in the Commonwealth, but I think in essence it's good if we have some history to preserve some things within reason, and these funds are typically used relatively wisely and for some good purposes, to keep our town looking good, and just make things better if we can. Now, so when we vote, we're going to vote on these. We're going to go through each column. We're going to go through each item in the columns because we have to do them individually. We can't just do them all at once. So, under town administrator, under administrative cost in the amount of $12,000.
I'll make a motion to accept.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend the spending of $12,000 for the project request under the town administrator and reserve source of funds under administrative. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Sue Delgado? Yes? You a yes? Yeah, I'm sorry. The voice is going. Eric Chu?
Yes, and after this vote, I would like to request a recess so I can switch to in person.
So you can, I'm not gonna get the rest of that.
So it can come in
So I
person.
can switch to in person. I'm in the parking lot.
Oh, okay. All right, sure. All right, sure. Eric McGlynn,
Yes. Aye.
Bob Ferrera,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So that portion of the Article 8 passes unanimously. Do I have a motion for us to go into temporary recess,
Subject to the call of the chair.
subject to the call of the chair?
Also motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we are in recess. Motion to reopen our finance committee meeting.
The motion, we reopen.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are back open. All right, to continue with this CPC Article 8, we're going through all the individual components of the article. So the next monetary component is from the town administrator, community housing in the amount of $25,000.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have to go through roll call vote. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, the motion, that piece passes unanimously. Okay, the next component of this article is under town administrator and open space in the amount of $25,000.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll go through roll call to recommend this portion of the article. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay. The Finance Committee recommended this unanimously. Under Town Administrator, to make improvements to the soccer fields, irrigation, this is a cost overrun. This is under open space, in the amount of $4,570. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee recommended this portion unanimously. Under Parks and Recreation, to make some repairs and upgrades to Pope Park under open space in the amount of $30,000. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, the Finance Committee recommends this portion unanimously. Under Acushnet Schools, resurfacing the basketball courts and installation of bleachers under open space in the amount of $125,000. Any discussion on this?
Make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
We have a motion, a second, roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee recommends this portion of the CPC article unanimously. Okay, under the Buzzards Bay Coalition, for the land purchase, for preservation of 77 acres under open space in the amount of $85,000. I think we discussed this one last week, and the town of Acushnet, our residents would not have any direct benefit at this time or access, because we would not have direct access to this land. And there's also, I believe there's also some contingencies with some other landowners who have potentially yet to agree to selling their portion of the land. Anything else to add on that one, Mr. Kelly?
It can be brought up again at the spring town meeting when the CPC will be setting their budget, when they traditionally set it for the spring town meeting. It was just we couldn't set it this year because we had to reorganize the committee.
I need a motion to not recommend it at this point.
I just wanted a little more discussion on this before we continue. How many towns were involved in this? Was it 5 towns?
Rochester doesn't have a CPC, so I'm not sure how they'd do the funding. It's Marion, Mattapoisett are integrally involved. with the Acushnet. I have not talked to the town administrator in Fairhaven about it, but I believe they're involved too.
And none of the other towns have committed any funding for this as of yet.
No, it would wait for their spring town meetings.
If one town doesn't approve of it, the others cannot, correct? I
Well,
mean, if
they
it's gotta
could-
be, everybody's gotta be involved.
They could approve it, but the Buzzards Bay Coalition would not have the amount of money they need. They could go to other sources.
Right.
They could go and attempt to get a state grant or a federal grant. So it's not like we're the only source of funds in, around for them to see if they can put this together, because they're not a government entity, they're a nonprofit.
Since Kathy's from the CPC, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would recommend or suggest that the finance committee just make no recommendation on this. There is a lot to this, and I feel that you don't have the whole picture. You don't have the packet, you haven't looked through it, you didn't hear the presentation. So to make a decision on that, I just don't think there's enough information.
That's why I made the recommendation to not
To make no not to.
No recommendation.
We're
Not
gonna-
to not approve it, not recommend it, just to.
Well, I think,
not to recommend it at this
Yeah.
point.
When you
We're
make
not
a
gonna-
motion to
until we
not
get more
recommend it,
information.
you're implying you
Yeah, but
don't
what-
support it. So
well,
I,
based on what I heard, because I did hear the presentation made by
Yeah.
Mr. Decker to the Board of Selectmen. Based on what I heard from him, I would personally would not recommend this right now, the way it was laid out. That's my opinion. I don't know how anybody else feels.
Well, that's why I made
So we have to make a motion.
I thought the board of selectmen shot the article down, didn't they pull it out?
They did.
Well, they said
Not
not
recommended.
recommended.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right, that's what my motion
It's
is.
the
Not to recommend it at this
CPC's budget
point, right?
Okay.
that they're presenting to town meeting.
Good.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to not recommend for Mr. Ferrara. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we're gonna take a roll call vote on this. Sue Delgado,
Aye, this is to basically table it, right? Not approve it right now.
we're not,
Okay.
yeah, so it's either, yeah, no, yeah. So I didn't hear
I vote not to approve this right now.
okay.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing properly,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's difficult.
Okay, Eric and Glenn,
Aye for the recommendation, for the.
A motion.
For the motion, yes.
so you're in favor of
The motion.
not recommending it?
Correct.
Say
Bob-
aye.
Bob Ferrara.
Say-
Okay, I'm an aye as well. Eric Chu? Okay, so this motion for the Buzzards Bay Coalition is not recommended unanimously by the Finance Committee at this time. But this, I mean, this could come back at the annual town meeting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
All right, next piece of the CPC article is from the Historic Commission for the Long Plain Museum patio roof repair, historic preservation, in the amount of $3,800. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion with this one? Being no further discussion, roll call, Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, the Finance Committee recommends this one unanimously. Okay, next piece is under Historic Commission, again, under the Long Plain Museum window repair, historic preservation in the amount of $23,100. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have motion, a second. Any further discussion? Since there's no further discussion, we'll go through roll call. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee recommends this unanimously.
The next two items cannot be taken up because they're
Right.
tabled by the CPC.
Yeah, so the next two are tabled, so.
I would request a motion that the Finance Committee is recommending the expenditure from CPC funds of $248,407.
I'll make a motion as requested, $248,007.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, so the Finance Committee is recommending the total amount of $248,470,000 through the CPC funding. I'll say, okay, so that completes Article 8. We've got a couple more here. Article 9 is to see if the town will vote to approve and fund the 3-year collective bargaining agreement from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024 between the Massachusetts Laborers Public Employees Council and the town by raising and appropriating $10,969 or to take any other action thereon. The explanation is there's a new collective bargaining agreement which includes a salary adjustment of 0% in the first year, which is a retro year, 1.34% in the second year.
That's the, I should rephrase this, that's the percentage, equivalent percentage, because it is effective as of November 1. So it's a 2% for the year, but it comes in at November 1, so the cost is the equivalent of 1.34%.
Okay.
In my explanation, I'll clarify that.
In the final draft of the warrant, okay.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? There's no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, so Article 9 passes recommended unanimously by the Finance Committee. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to approve and fund the 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 851, from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025, and the town or take any other action thereon. Mr. Kelly, do you want to speak to this one?
Unlike the previous article, there is no retro year here. And so in the first year, it's a 0%, second year 2%, third year 2%, with the signing bonus paid out of ARPA funds on a sliding scale because of a number of the ASME workers are not full-time employees. And there is no funding this year necessary because of the signing bonus coming from the ARPA funds, which is a one-time payment.
Does this apply to department heads as well, or?
No, it's AFSCME.
Oh, that's right.
It's the contract. The department heads track AFSCME, but there is
Some of
no,
them,
it would have to be done individually through the agreements.
okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second with regards to Article 10. Any further discussion? Seeing there's no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Sue Delgado,
Aye.
Eric McGlynn,
Aye.
Bob Ferrara,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee recommends Article 10 unanimously.
I request no action on Article 11. We're still negotiating with the Teamsters, the police union, and as such, we'd have to come in for a special meeting if we settle it before town meeting.
Do we have to make a motion to table it?
No, I'd
So
ask
it's
for
not gonna
no
be-
action, that
No.
you just
No
bypass it.
recommendation, no nothing.
So this will not appear on the warrant.
It will be on the warrant if it goes, there will be no motion
Okay, so so
unless,
there's no
unless
motion.
it comes to this committee and the Board of Selectmen prior to town meeting.
So we could have a meeting before the meeting.
If anything gets settled?
Right.
Okay, all right, so we'll be on the alert for that. Kathy will let us know if there's gonna be a, I guess an emergency meeting, if you will.
And we could maybe even have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen if they want to take it up that way.
Okay.
We usually do that, just before the meeting, the actual town.
If there's anything that we have to clean up,
Yeah.
we typically will, yeah. Okay, so we're not taking any action on, so we have to make a
I'll
motion?
note on the warrant that there was no action taken at this meeting.
By the finance committee?
Correct.
Okay,
We have to make a motion to not.
No.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go on to Article 12. So this is this involves the solar farms. So it's a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations. To see if the town will vote to amend Article 8 of the zoning bylaws concerning large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations by replacing the existing article, inserting the following, or act in relation thereto. This is proposed by the planning board. I think this is a very long article. We're not gonna read through the
Yes.
whole thing. In a nutshell, and Mr. Kelly will add to this, this is to prevent a large-scale number of projects from popping up all over town. We already have a decent amount of these in town, and, when a contractor comes in, or, whoever, the developer, whoever wants to do this, I mean, you gotta use a certain amount of land, so that means you're probably cutting down some trees. And, we know trees are important to the environment, and, I don't think we wanna see a bunch of shiny glass panels all over town when we're driving through our town. So this is an important article to probably recommend. So Mr. Kelly, if you want to add anything to that.
Mr. Chairman, previously the town placed a moratorium on the installation and permitting of these solar arrays. It runs out after 180 days, which is in November. So if you do nothing, or the town does nothing, it reverts to the previous bylaw, which was totally inadequate. This bylaw increases the buffer zones. It enhances the livability for the environment and for the animal life. It protects the town in the decommissioning by allowing the planning board to set restrictions that and increase the bonding necessary to keep up with the decommissioning after 20 years. And it restricts acreage to 3 acres or more for the site.
Well, yeah, and the other question for this article too
And
is,
one other thing, it has to be on an existing way. It cannot be on a paper street.
Mhm. I mean, the other thing with this is, how much of a direct financial benefit or economic benefit does the town get from all of these solar farms from being everywhere?
Pilots?
No, we do get taxation. There's no pilot program. We could enter a pilot agreement, but we have special legislation that puts the income from the solar arrays into a infrastructure fund. Additionally, if you have stringent controls like this, you can actually set conditions on how the upkeep has to be done, and it can help preserve the natural environment, so that I know that in some towns, they even use goats and sheep grazing under the arrays to keep the grass down.
So this is just for solar panels, this has
Large.
nothing to do, if somebody wanted to put in a wind farm or something like that?
No.
We have no,
And it's not for the solar panels on the house.
right, no, I understand, it's a field, a farm.
Yeah.
solar.
I mean, is there any direct benefit for the residents?
Well, taxation money,
Well, besides, yeah,
The-
but like a resident can't like
Tie off the grid.
tie into it.
no.
Right.
Charge up their electric cars.
No.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But
It's all fiber.
what it does do is it could assist large landowners that are agricultural in preserving part of the agricultural land by having part of their land rented out for these solar arrays.
Well, I mean, look, I'm all for entrepreneurship and, capitalism, but I think with this situation here, I think it's probably not a bad idea to just slow things down, slow the process down for now, and,
This makes it more stringent.
yeah,
And it would, you have to remember the state allows it by right, so your conditions that you put on it cannot ban it. So this,
Is this an indefinite, this isn't a moratorium, this isn't a 180-day moratorium?
No, I think they
like we
wanted to
had.
do the moratorium so they can rewrite.
yeah,
And it was to buy
when
time.
you put this in place, you can amend it in the future.
It would have to go to town meeting, correct? It would
Correct.
have to-
But if you don't do something, your previous bylaw goes into place, and that was so inadequate that it would be like anything,
well, there's no restrictions.
no restrictions at all.
If there was anything could
It'd be
fly.
Dodge City.
Yeah.
They were put in place before they were invented.
All right, so do we have a motion on Article 12
I'll make a
to
motion.
recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend.
All right, so we have a motion to recommend Article 12. Is there a second? All right, I think we've discussed this quite a bit. We'll take a roll call vote. Sue Delgado? Yes, I could see that you said yes.
She nodded her head.
Eric McGlynn?
Aye.
Let the record show.
Bob Ferrara? I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, so the Finance Committee recommends this article unanimously, Article 12. I believe we have one final Article 13. Let me get to that here in a second.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, this is a zoning article. I've had some inquiries that folks asked, wasn't it voted down at the Springtown meeting? And my reply is we researched it and it was tabled at the Springtown meeting. So it-
And I think the reason it was tabled was because of the way it was worded correctly. They didn't
But
They
if-
didn't specifically say how many house lots
Right,
were
but
going to be
but if
built.
it was voted down, you couldn't bring it up for so many years.
Right.
So that's why it's being brought up now by the planning board.
Okay. All right, so Article 13 is to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Acushnet official zoning map by rezoning a parcel of land identified in the assessor's records as map 15 lots 482 and 534 from the residential A zoning district to the residential village zoning district, or take any other action thereto. This is proposed by the planning board. I did get a chance to see one of the select board meetings, and Doug Pimentel, our town planner, gave a very good explanation on this article and the reasons behind, the reasons why we should recommend it, basically. Without this article in place, correct me if I'm wrong, a developer could come into town and put up 40B housing in a large-scale capacity, like an apartment.
Multiple units.
Right, so there'd be no restrictions when it comes to that kind of development.
That would be a possibility if it was economically feasible for the developer.
Mhm.
The way this is structured, we've been informed by the planning board and the planner, is it would result in 4 housing units, 4 houses. It would also enable the cleanup of the area. It's been rectified that it will not be 13 housing.
Right, and I think that was the main issue at the annual town meeting was, how are you gonna put 13 homes on this street, right? And I think that was a valid concern at the time.
And the safety committee is going to be looking at, if this is approved at town meeting, whether there'll be a need for any signage down there to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
For Pembroke Ave, I think.
Yep.
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if it's probably too late now, but instead of doing these colors like this, wouldn't it be possible to do hatching? Probably be easier to read.
I made a mistake and didn't color the.
Well, when you mass produce them for the meeting, they're gonna be black and white, not gonna do this page.
We'll probably have the map up on the
On the screen.
Or a
Okay.
colored map.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe doing like hatching and slashes, whatever, for different. Okay.
I'm not an artist.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Article 13. Any further discussion? Seeing there's no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote on Article 13. Sue Delgado.
Aye.
Eric McGlynn.
Aye.
Bob Ferrera.
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, Finance Committee recommends Article 13 unanimously. Okay, so that concludes our articles that'll be submitted in the town warrant for our fall town meeting on October 17th at the Ford Middle School, 7 p.m. We do have some minutes to take up, which I printed up earlier today. The minutes are from the meeting of September 14th, 2022. In attendance was myself, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Sue Delgado, and Bob Ferrera.
Motion.
So we have a motion and a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay, and we'll take a roll call vote on these. Sue Delgado?
Aye.
I wasn't here.
Eric will abstain. Bob Ferrera's, I'm an aye, and Eric Chu.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes of September 14, 2022 are accepted and passes by the Finance Committee. I think that covers everything. We're gonna make our deadlines, because I know everything has to go out to print. Is it tomorrow, right?
We post on Friday.
Right.
We advertise on the next 2 editions, I believe, of the paper on maybe the 6th and the 13th, I guess it is. They've already been notified, and then we have the town meeting.
All right.
The selectmen are gonna take up Article 12, and we'll have a meeting before we'll be notified.
I don't, you'll be notified, but I don't know if we're gonna take it up because we're still in negotiations.
So it might not be.
If we do not complete
Then that will have to
negotiations
just come up in the spring.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody on our Finance Committee for participating and doing a good job. I think we did a good job anyway.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's to be determined, right? I know we all put a good amount of time into this and take it seriously, so It's a good collaborative effort on all our parts. Special thanks to Kathy for reaching out to a lot of people, setting up meetings for us. So thanks, Kathy. And Mr. Kelly, our entire finance department, including Nick, who's hiding behind the door back there.
Closet.
I hate forgetting Nick all the time, but I'm gonna mention him. You know, and our whole entire finance department, treasurer's office, you know, anybody who helps participate in town government to try and make things run smoothly should be recognized.
We have membership openings too.
Yes, and you know, our board of selectmen, because I know they put in a lot of extra time doing what they do. It's not by no means is that an easy job. And I think we have a good group right now who you know, they're working together and trying to get things done for the benefit of the residents and for the employees as well, which is it's a hard line to balance when you're trying to do both, and sometimes that doesn't get recognized. And you know, we're a small town here. We don't have unlimited resources, and you know, we try to keep everybody happy as best we can, you know, as far as employee retention, but you know, there's always going to be cases where, you know, somebody's going to go for greener pastures, and that's just the reality of things. And you know, you can't keep everybody, unfortunately. So I think in a small town like ours, you know, it's not unrealistic to see some turnover the way we have, but hopefully in the next few years we get a little bit more stability and some continuity within all our departments, because I think that helps everything run a lot smoother going forward. That's all I have to say. Anybody have anything else to say?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I had a feeling you were going to do that. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second. Roll call. That's right. Sue Delgado.
Don't say nay.
She's yeah. Eric.
Yeah.
Aye.
Bob. I am an aye.
I'm an aye.
True. Okay, we are
Good night.
adjourned. Thank you.